Good morning, 8th grade. Today we're going to continue to talk about prepositions and prepositional phrases. Let's begin by looking at the sentences that we completed for today, beginning with sentence number 11. I've marked several sentences that I'd like for you to take a special look at as we continue to talk about prepositions and prepositional phrases. Number 12. Prepositional phrase through foods, and the second prepositional phrase like vegetables and grain. The first item that I'd like to emphasize for today is that you can have a compound prepositional phrase object, vegetables and grains. So watch out when you have identified a preposition. Look to see if quite possibly there might be a couple of prepositional phrases. The second one I'd like to take a look at is number 15. Number 15 has two prepositional phrases. I know some of us might have said, hey, wait a second, I think there's three. And some of you are already saying, hey, I know I got to be careful that to guard is not a prepositional phrase. I remember that that's an infinitive to plus a verb. So in sentence number 15, in a high fiber diet is one prepositional phrase. The second prepositional phrase is against cancer, and to guard is not a prepositional phrase because guard is not a noun. It's a verb. Again, we're going to talk about infinitive verbals later on this year, but remember the second caution for today is be careful that the word that follows the preposition, it needs to be a noun. The next item that I want to call your attention to is sentence number 19. Sometimes you can have a prepositional phrase at the beginning, and sometimes you can have one at the end. In sentence 19, there's one actually in the middle, and in between it, we have a verb. So from food, and then the second is into excess body fat. The next item I'd like to draw your attention to today is that sometimes they can start at the beginning of a sentence. And again, the reason that we're taking prepositional phrases at the beginning of the year is because you'll notice that there's only 3 words that are left in the sentence. As we continue to look at the other words in the sentences, we're going to find out that when I look to identify my subject, it comes after the prepositional phrase. So if I already set aside because of proteins and into healthy adults as a prepositional phrase, it leaves 3 words that are left. One is the subject, and the second is the verb, can develop. And so be careful, your sentence can begin with a prepositional phrase even though it's not set apart by a comma as number 16 was. The next item I'd like you to look carefully at is sentence number 25. In sentence 25, I've got 2 prepositional phrases that come in the middle of a sentence, and you'll notice that one of them is set apart by a comma in the front as well as a comma in the back. So my first prepositional phrase, of other foods, and my second prepositional phrase, like nuts and grains. In this example, the prepositional phrases don't come at the end, rather they're sandwiched in between the subject and the verb. So these prepositional phrases that I have highlighted are the ones that you should have identified for today. And if there's any sentence here that you have a question about, please feel free to contact me. Now let's turn to the next page that's in our folders concerning prepositions and prepositional phrases. You'll notice again at the top of the page there's a list of commonly used prepositions as well as compound prepositions. It would probably be a good idea that you refer to these so that as you go through the sentences, especially when you run into some of these compound prepositions, you're able to identify them and you don't miss them as we identify them in the sentences. Let's take a look at the 7 sentences here that are on the bottom of the page. And we're going to follow the same directions that we did yesterday. We're going to be underlining, highlighting, or putting parentheses around the prepositional phrases. And we want to be remembering some of those reminders that we had from the sentences that we looked at just a couple of minutes ago. In sentence number 1, again, many times we have them right at the end of the sentence, and that's what we see inside the city at the end of the sentence, number 1. And number 2, we have an example of prepositional phrase that's found in the middle. Also, I want to be remembering that when I have a conjunction like and, or, that I might have a compound object in the sentence. In what stalls, in what shops. Stalls and shops are compound objects of the preposition in. In sentence number 3, we notice that the preposition is along and the object of the preposition is street, and then there are 3 words in between the preposition and the object of the preposition. Be remembering that we can have sometimes 2, 3, or more words that are going to modify the noun that is the object of the preposition. Sentence number 4, throughout a number of streets. Number 5, again at the beginning of a sentence, set apart by a comma, and then we have prepositional phrases that end the sentence. Number 1, of coppersmiths. Number 2, beside 2 streets. And number 3, of booksellers. Again, we oftentimes see this at the end of a sentence where we can have 1, 2, or possibly 3 prepositional phrases. Sentence 6, with 400 shops. Again, I have 2 words that are found in between the preposition and the noun, shops, which serves as the object of the preposition. And sentence number 7, in early times. Again, our object for today is to be sure that we are able to identify these prepositions that are found in the sentence, and then we're able to find those other words that go along. Remember, the prepositional phrase needs to end with a noun or a pronoun, and that makes it the prepositional phrase. If you would look then, please, to the back side of your paper, you're going to notice that our sentences continue with number 8 through 15. Again, I would like you please to underline, highlight, or put parentheses around the prepositional phrases in sentences 8 through 15. And then when you get to the bottom of the page, again, there is just a review concerning what the definition and another example of preposition and prepositional phrase. And then there are 5 sentences on the bottom of the page. Once again, if you'd please follow those directions that we've been using in our discussion here to underline, highlight, or put parentheses around the prepositional phrases. So your assignment for tomorrow is to complete these sentences 8 through 15 and 1 through 5, underlining, highlighting, or putting parentheses around the prepositional phrases. You'll also notice on your assignment sheet that is in Google Classroom, I have a link posted for IXL. You can feel free to go ahead also and begin working on that. You'll be finishing out the week's work by going through the IXL review on prepositions and prepositional phrases. I won't have a video that accompanies the IXL review. However, if you do have questions concerning that, please contact me and I will help you, number 1, to either access IXL if for some reason you're having a difficult time doing that, or number 2, if you'd like some individual help identifying prepositions and prepositional phrases in the sentence. Thanks for your attention today. We'll talk soon as we continue to review our grammar. Have a great day.